The Democratic National Convention is underway in the U.S. city of Chicago. And Kamala Harris, the party's presidential nominee, made an unscheduled appearance on day one. She spoke ahead of a keynote speech from President Joe Biden. In the next hour, he's expected to urge the party to stand behind Harris in November's presidential election. His own decision not to seek re-election upended that race, making Harris the candidate in his place. Polls show her edging slightly ahead of Republican Donald Trump in some crucial swing states. When Kamala Harris took the stage, she paid tribute to Biden.
I want to kick us off by celebrating our incredible President Joe Biden, who will be speaking later tonight. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, for your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you.
Well, DW's Washington Bureau Chief Ines Pohl is at the venue of the Democratic National Convention. She told me what's expected when Joe Biden gives his speech later tonight.
President Biden and his wife Jill Biden, they just walked the stage some time ago. You know, it's common to do a little bit of testing with the teleprompter and the light, and there was already such a warm welcome. And that's what we're expecting later today. After all, as you just mentioned, Hannah, this is his last big goodbye, a big thank you to the Democratic Party, of course, which has supported him, but also, like, the party wants to thank him. After all, he has been more than 50 years in public service. In 1972, he was one of the youngest senators ever to be sworn in. So this will also be a celebration of Joe Biden's lifelong accomplishments.
And he is himself expected to speak later tonight. But how likely is it that Kamala Harris will follow his legacy? Or are we going to see her distancing herself from some of his policies?
That's a very good question. On the one hand, of course, she's running on the VP ticket as a member of the Biden-Harris White House, but in some regards, she, of course, has to distance herself a little bit, especially when it comes to Biden's Israel politics, for example, because he's facing a lot of criticism with that from the very important Arabic American voter body. And then there are, of course, the problems with inflation and with overall business figures. This is something she has to walk a fine line, kind of tell people that she, of course, liked what Joe Biden did because he was a liked president, but that she is going to move the country even further into the future. But she finally has to deliver more than hope and promises. She has to come up and hopefully here on the stage behind me on Thursday with some precise politics, with some precise ideas how she will accomplish that.
That was DW's Washington Bureau Chief Ines Pohl. Now, demonstrators calling for the US to end aid to Israel gathered near the venue hosting the convention. Pro-Palestinian protesters briefly managed to break through a nearby fence, but were pushed back by police. Thousands of marchers demanded that the US stop giving military and financial support to Israel. Activists have criticised the Biden-Harris administration for its handling of the war in Gaza. The rally was much smaller than organisers had hoped, and protests have been peaceful. DW reporter Stefan Simons is standing by at a park just outside the DNC where the main protests were happening. I asked him about the reports about protesters breaking through fences.
Right. Well, if you would have asked me an hour ago, that was quite a different situation. You see here in my back here, police is actually moving now back. They were quite in force present here and pushed people out of this park. This is not Union Park. This is just a park, not just a stone throw from the convention center from here. You're right. Protesters breached the security perimeter of first fence, and the law enforcement agencies here, the Chicago Police Department, was really fast to react, and promptly there were a few arrests. So I say it was first tussle of the day, of day one of the Democratic National Convention, and now we'll see what's happening in the next few days. However, Overall, this was a day of peaceful protest, a long march of, let's say, maximum 5,000 protesters towards the convention center, or as far as they could get. Here they stopped. A few took it on themselves to breach the security perimeter, were rebuffed by police, and now we're here. Right now, there's more press than protesters present here.